Welcome to Corey's Conscious Living. Hi guys, do you want to be in the cat club? Do you know what the cat club is? Heidi, Cherry and Vaya have an exclusive club for members to come and join. It's $7 a month. Every 7th of the month you get 3 exclusive Heidi, Cherry and Vaya stories that only you get to listen to. No one else that's not in the club gets to get these stories, so they're very special. If you want to know more about it, get a guardian or your mum and dad to help you to look at the link below the video to check out the cat club. Namaste, my little friend. Enjoy your story. Are you ready to meditate with Corey? Lay down in your bed. Make sure that you're comfortable and everything is just right in your room so that you can relax and let go of your busy day. Heidi, Cherry, and Vaya were on a mission. Mr. and Mrs. Lewowski, who lived next door to Heidi, Cherry, and Vaya, had the bestest tree in their back garden. It had been there 30 years and it was enormous. It was a really good tree for a tree house. Luckily, the cats were absolutely adored by Mr. and Mrs. Lewowski, and they said that the cats could build a tree house on their tree and play on it any time, at any point of the day or any season, any time, with their friends if they wanted to. What was really cool about the cat's back garden and Mr. and Mrs. Lewowski's back garden was there was a fence separating the two gardens, and one of the posts on the fence, one of the planks of wood on the fence, was loose, so you could just tap it and it would lift up. And that's how the cats got into Mr. and Mrs. Lewowski's garden. And then they would tap it the other way to get back into their garden. So it was like having 2 gardens to play in instead of just one. And Mr. and Mrs. Lewowski had lots of fun things in their garden. They had that enormous, wonderful, massive tree, which the cats absolutely loved climbing in and just hanging out in and, talking to the birds and things like that. And if you climbed high enough in that tree, you could see a lot of the neighborhood because it was a really tall tree. They also had a pond that had fish in it, and the cats were very good. They never ever tried to get the fish. They just liked the fish. They would talk to them sometimes and ask them what it was like to be a fish. It was a really nice garden. Heidi, Cherry and Vaya had figured out that they probably couldn't build the tree house alone since they'd got some experience building tree house. They'd done it before in the woods with some of their friends. So they asked Aaron and Amelia, who were brother and sister. They asked Noah and Isla, who were brother and sister. And they asked Kenzie and Tiffany, that were just friends, to come over and help them build a tree house. That morning, when everyone arrived, they got a phone call. It was Tucker and Leo on the other end of the phone saying, "Do you want to hang out today?" They didn't have anything to do this weekend. It was a Saturday morning and they'd love to come and see their friends. So, perfect timing, Tucker and Leo also came to help build the tree house. When Leo got there, the first thing he thought was, way too many people. Way too many kids. But he was okay. He kind of sat next to the fish pond and watched the fish and listened as Heidi, Cherry and Vaya discussed how they would start to build the tree house. Tucker said, "I've always wanted a tree house. I think they're the most funniest things in the entire world. I've never, ever, ever had a tree house. Can you believe it?" Cherry said, "No, Tucker, I can't, because tree houses are like really popular and lots of kids, if they're lucky, if they have a tree on the back garden, then they get to build a tree house. And what's better if you think about your childhood when you're older, then knowing that you had a treehouse that you could escape to and get away from your awful parents. Heidi said, "Not everyone has awful parents, Cherry." Cherry said, "Oh, I know, I'm just kidding. But it's nice to just have your own secret special place where no one in the world can bug you and bother you, and you can take a nice book, or you can take your music and dance in it, or you can sing in it, or you can play games in it, or you can do all sorts of nice things." Vaya said, "Me has always wanted a tree house that had like a dressing table. A fancy dressing table that was all gold with a big mirror. And inside of the dressing table drawers, I had all of my necklaces and my bracelets. And there was a fancy wardrobe." Cherry said, "How are you going to get a wardrobe in a treehouse, Vaya?" Vaya said, "This is just my fantasy. And there's a fancy wardrobe, and in that wardrobe I would have all of my favourite outfits. And then I would go to my treehouse and I would just dress up, and I would sit and I would sing, and I would do my nails, and I would play music, and I would play with my makeup, and I would be in complete peace and quiet with no sisters there. I mean, I love my sisters, but it's nice to be alone sometimes." Heidi said, "What I think would be really cool in a treehouse? A bookshelf." Cherry said, "I'm sure, somehow today we can make it so that we have something with drawers in it, and maybe have something that will hold some books in it. I mean, it's not going to be enormous or anything. It's not going to be like our bedrooms where it's really fancy. But we could do something. I bet you any money that we could do something." Aaron said, "I think we should try and put a slide on it. It'd be awesome with a slide." Cherry said, "Oh, Aaron, that's such a good idea. OMG, can you imagine that we could climb up steps and then slide down a slide when we want to get out of the treehouse?" Amelia said, "I like the idea of a slide. I think that would be really fun." Noah and Isla said, "How about a jacuzzi?" Cherry went, Tucker said, "Oh, I'd love a jacuzzi. That would be such a great idea. Can you imagine having a treehouse with a jacuzzi in it? Oh, I would love it. You know what I like about jacuzzis the bestest? And it tickles your backside." So funny. I would really like that. But no, I don't think you could fit a jacuzzi in a treehouse, could you? Could you fit a jacuzzi in a treehouse, Leo? Leo said, "I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What did you say?" Noah and Isla both shouted that they were going to put a jacuzzi in the treehouse again, and Leo said, "Oh, I don't think so." Tucker said, "See, Leo doesn't think so. And normally Leo, even though he's very reserved and very boring and very quiet and very sensitive and very, 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 what's the word? Allergic. Yeah, he's very allergic. He does know lots of things. He's a bit like Heidi. He's quite smart like that. He knows that probably we couldn't be able to fit a jacuzzi in this tree house." Cherry said, "What if it's a really big jacuzzi? If it's a really big jacuzzi, then no way. But what if it's a really small jacuzzi in a really big tree house? Now that would work, wouldn't it? The dimensions would be right." Heidi said, "It still probably wouldn't work. Unfortunately, Noah, Isla, a jacuzzi holds gallons and hundreds of gallons of water. And that would mean it would be really, really heavy. And that would mean we would have to make the treehouse in a way that was really enforced, almost like an industrial treehouse, to be able to carry the weight of all that water." Noah said, "Oh, I didn't really think about that." Isla said, "I still think it'd be a great idea. Maybe we could put the jacuzzi on the ground and just have it underneath the tree." Cherry said, "Now we're talking. Yeah, that's an awesome idea. I wonder if Mr. and Mrs. Lewowski would mind if we had a jacuzzi on the back garden as well as a tree house. that might be something for the future because, they've been so nice letting us build a tree house. I don't really want to push it too much because that would look like we're being very pushy. And, I know I can be pushy. But, I really like them. And they're a little bit old and a little bit fragile. And I don't want to scare them with putting a jacuzzi in their back garden because what if the fish decide that they want to go in the jacuzzi and the jacuzzi is too hot and the fish get cooked like fried fish? That would be so bad. But the fish should be like, oh, it's so nice and warm in here. And then the fish should be like, oh no, it's too warm in here. And then the fish should be like, oh no. And that would be the end of the fish. That would be the end of the fish. And then we'd have to have fish and chips for dinner. No, we wouldn't. That would be so gross. No, sorry fishes, shouted Cherry. Don't mean it. I like you in your little pond over there. We don't want you in a jacuzzi. Kenzie and Tiffany said, how about if we have a ball pit? Kenzie said, I've always liked ball pits. When you go to those play zones and you get to jump in those colourful balls and you can swim in them and dive in them and play in them and you can pretend you're hiding in them. Cherry said, OMG! Yeah, ball pit! Tucker said, oh, that sounds absolutely brilliant. I love balls. Oh, but you know what though? Sometimes I bite them too much. I bite balls really easily. And then what I do is I stick my teeth in them. And then the balls deflate. I've bit so many of Ellie's balls and she gets really upset. And then Nana has to go and buy her another ball. And then her mum says, Tucker, you bad doggy. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then I'm like, Ellie, I love you. Don't be sad. And Ellie, because she's only 3, she goes, no, you're a bad doggy, Tucker. And I'm like, I'm not a bad doggy. I just can't help myself. My teeth are too big. So maybe, Kenzie, maybe Tiffany, it's not a good idea for me to have a ball pit. But you guys could have a ball pit and I'll just stay out of the balls. But don't make them with tennis balls because if you make them with tennis balls, Leo's not going to be able to help himself because Leo really likes tennis balls, don't you, Leo? Leo said, I do like tennis balls. I like to pull all of the outside fur off them and eat it. But then, unfortunately, I have really strange poops. Said Tucker. You do, and then Dad gets really angry because all your poops have got tennis balls in them, and he's like, uh-oh, Leo's been eating tennis balls again. What we're going to do if Leo eats a tennis ball and doesn't actually poop it out? Those tennis balls are going to get stuck in Leo's tummy, and that wouldn't be very good because then Leo will start bouncing everywhere. Cherry said, that's so funny. Leo, I didn't think you ate anything like that. I really thought you would have been allergic to tennis balls, since you're allergic to absolutely everything. Leo said, well, I don't know why, but I just can't help myself with tennis balls. Heidi said, right, there's certain things that you just can't help yourself with. I'm exactly the same if I see cheesecake. Oh, said Cherry. She's so bad with cheesecake. Heidi can't help herself. If anybody buys cheesecake, that's it. She's had it. She's done for. She's going to steal the cheesecake and she's going to go to her room and she's going to eat all the cheesecake. And then there's none for anybody else. And then Heidi's got cheesecake all over her whiskers and she's got a cheesecake belly. Because when she has too much cheesecake, the cheesecake makes her belly swell up and she gets all bloated. And she has a cheesecake belly that looks like a pregnancy belly. And it's so funny. Tucker said, oh, I like cheesecake. You know my favourite flavour of cheesecake? It's what is it now? What is it, Leo? Leo said, it's white chocolate raspberry cheesecake that has an Oreo cookie crust. Everyone that was listening started to drool. The kids were drooling. Aaron said, I'm really hungry. So did Noah, so did Kenzie and Tiffany. Isla and Amelia were busy walking the plank. They took some of the wood that they were going to build the treehouse with and they put them down on the ground and they were pretending that they were pirates and they were walking the plank off the ship. So they weren't paying attention to the conversation about cheesecake. But everyone else that was listening was very, very, very hungry, thinking about cheesecake. Cherry said, "Shall we go inside and get something to eat? Let's go inside. Let's go through the fence and go back home and go get something to eat because we need to keep our strength up. And if we can keep our strength up, then we can make this tree house. We can make the bestest tree house." Leo said, "I would like the tree house to have a fireman's pole. Just saying." Cherry said, "Leo, you have got something exciting inside of you. I knew you were one of those sneaky dogs that were really, really pretend to be boring, but really you're not. You're really, really awesome inside. A fireman's pole is like a brilliant idea. I don't know where we're going to get a fireman's pole from." Tucker said, "Maybe we can get one from the park. Maybe we can disassemble. Disassemble? Is it disassemble? Disassemble? Oh, I don't know. Maybe we can disassemble one of the swing sets or something at the park." All the kids said, "You can't do that, Tucker. That means that the swing set at the park wouldn't be any good for the kids that go to the park." Tucker said, "Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Oh, okay then." Cherry decided to gather everyone up, to go back to their house, to go in the kitchen, raid the fridge, and get all the snacks that they could find. Some kids raided the fridge. Some cats raided the snack cupboard. Tucker and Leo were looking in the garage because in the garage there was a whole Costco area of food where all the extras went. And then they all came back into the kitchen and put what they found would be yummy, tasty snacks to eat. And then everyone sat around and had like a snack picnic together. They talked and talked and talked and talked and talked until like 2 hours had passed easily. And then Cherry said, "OMG, we're supposed to be making a tree house." Everyone put their snacks away and tidied up the kitchen. They went outside. They went back over to Mr. and Mrs. Lewowski's garden and started to build the tree house bit by bit. This treehouse was going to take a couple of weekends before it was complete. They did what they could that day with the friends that were helping, and then decided that maybe next weekend, if everyone wasn't available, they could invite other friends to come and help with the treehouse. Eventually, everyone got really, really tired. Their hands were blistered from banging all the nails in the wood. Their bones were hurting. So the kids went home. Tucker and Leo went home. Heidi, Cherry, and Vaya decided to have a long, hot Epsom salt bath with some essential oils, some lavender, and some peppermint. They soaked in the tub for the longest time, and all the bones and the muscles felt so much better. And then they got out of the tub, put on the pajamas, brushed their teeth, and jumped into their big, soft, comfortable cat bed. Didn't take too long before they were all snoring away. So tired. The end.